My beloved child, come close to me and lean your weary head against my chest, for I have seen the heavy mantle you have been forced to carry. For 100 years, a shadow has loomed over your lineage, a silent whisper of lack and a recurring pattern of sorrow that has tried to define your family name. I have watched you struggle against invisible currents, feeling as though you were swimming against a tide that began long before you took your first breath. But I am the Lord of time and the architect of eternity, and I am stepping into your story today with a purpose that cannot be thwarted. Your surname, once a weight of generational expectations and historical burdens, is being washed clean in the ocean of my infinite grace. I am the one who remembers the promises made to the faithful, and I have heard the cries of those who came before you, mingling with your own silent prayers in the middle of the night. Do not let your heart be troubled any longer by the ghosts of the past. The anxiety that has gripped your spirit, the frantic worry over how you will provide and how you will survive, is a cloud that I am scattering with the brilliance of my glory. I know the exact number of the hairs on your head and the exact depth of the fears in your soul. Under the divine decree 19,387, I have signed your liberation papers in the courts of heaven. This number shall be a sign unto you that the old accounts are settled, and the debt of the past is fully paid. You have felt a deep and biting loneliness, even in crowded rooms, as if you were the only one who truly understood the cost of your survival. But I have been your silent companion in every valley and your shield in every battle. You are not an accident of history. You are a deliberate creation of my love, and I have chosen you to be the one who breaks the cycle forever. The financial drought that has parched your family tree for a century is ending this very hour. I am opening the storehouses of heaven to pour out a blessing that you will not have room enough to receive. Where there was scarcity, there shall be an overflow that blesses not only you, but generations yet unborn. I am replacing the spirit of heaviness with a garment of praise. I see you, my precious child, standing at the threshold of a new era. The walls of the prison that held your ancestors are crumbling into dust at the sound of my voice. You no longer have to look over your shoulder waiting for the other shoe to drop or for the curse to reclaim its territory. I have placed a hedge of protection around you that no weapon formed against you can penetrate. Your name is being rewritten in the book of life, not as a victim of circumstance, but as a victor in my kingdom. Feel the warmth of my presence surrounding you now, melting away the tension in your shoulders and the knots in your stomach. I am your provider, your healer, and your everlasting Father. The miracles I am releasing into your home today are not temporary fixes but permanent transformations. You will walk in a new authority, and the world will see that there is a God who restores what the locusts have eaten. Every tear you have shed has been a seed, and now it is time for the harvest of joy to begin. Do not be afraid of the greatness I have placed within you. The chains are gone, the curse is shattered, and the light of my favor is shining upon your face. I love you with a love that knows no end, and I am making all things new for you this day. Rest in the assurance that I am working all things together for your good. Your future is secure in my hands, and the path ahead of you is paved with the gold of my promises. Walk forth with your head held high, for the 100-year struggle is over, and the day of your triumph has dawned. I am with you always, even unto the end of the age, and my love shall be the foundation upon which you build your new and glorious life. Receive my peace, receive my power, and receive the miracle that is entering your home at this very moment. Behold, I am standing at the threshold of your kitchen, the very place where the weight of lack once sat like an uninvited guest at every meal. For a century, the name you carry was whispered with a sigh, associated in the minds of the town, and the memories of your kin with the almost and the not quite enough. But look now at the table where you have sat in solitude, resting your head upon your hands in the quiet hours of the night. I am filling the empty seats with the spirits of joy and the living presence of my holy counsel. I am going back through the years, stepping through the decades like a gardener walking through a neglected orchard. Back to the very moment the soil of your family tree was first poisoned by that ancient word, that original transgression or agreement with darkness that birthed the cycle. With my own hand, I am uprooting the bitterness. Every debt that was passed down like a rusted, heavy heirloom from father to son, from mother to daughter, is being canceled in the high courts of heaven this very hour. You are not merely a continuation of your father's mistakes or a vessel for your mother's sorrows. You are the point of divine divergence. I see the old, faded photographs tucked away in your mind and your drawers, the faces of those who came before you, whose eyes were filled with a weariness they could not name and a hunger they could never satisfy. I am reaching back through the corridor of time to touch those faces, releasing their memories from the regret that they could not provide a better path for you. And for you, my beloved, I am opening the windows of your soul to a light that has been denied to your bloodline for 10 long decades. Feel the marrow in your bones beginning to vibrate with a new frequency of wholeness. The chronic ailments that seem to be just part of the family, the shadows of depression that felt like a familiar coat, and the patterns of loss that visited your house every season are being commanded to depart and never return. Your DNA is being recalibrated to the rhythm of my heartbeat. I am placing a new song in your mouth, a melody of victory that will echo through the hallways of your house until the very walls resonate with the sound of my glory. You will no longer wake up with that phantom dread, that heavy feeling that the other shoe is about to drop, or that disaster is lurking around the next corner. The shadow that followed your ancestors, the one that made them settle for less, hide their true light, and play small in a world that needed their greatness, is dissolving in the brilliance of my countenance. I am breathing upon your finances, upon your creative ideas that you thought were dead, and upon the relationships that were once strained to the breaking point by the pressure of this unseen burden. Look at your hands. They are no longer tied by the invisible cords of the past. They are the hands of a builder, a restorer, a pioneer of a new age. I am giving you the keys to storehouses that were locked before you were even born, treasures of wisdom and resources that were hidden away, until a heart as faithful as yours could be found to steward them. You are the answer to the secret, desperate cries of those who preceded you, the one who finally stood up and said, "No more to the darkness." And as you stand in this new dawn, know that I am not just changing your circumstances. I am changing your very identity. You will find yourself speaking with a clarity you never possessed, making decisions with a wisdom that feels ancient yet remarkably fresh. The stigma that was once attached to your surname is being replaced by distinction and honor. When people hear your name in the gates of the city, they will no longer think of the struggle, but of the grace that transformed a desert into a garden. I am planting trees of righteousness in the center of your heart, trees that will provide shade for the generations to come so that they may never feel the scorching heat of the curse you have endured. Your children and their children will walk on level ground because I am leveling the mountains that tripped up your ancestors. They will drink from wells they did not dig and eat from vineyards they did not plant, all because you stood in the gap and allowed me to break the seal. Stay in this moment of communion with me, for the work is deep and delicate. Do not rush away from the stillness. There is a divine alchemy occurring in the hidden parts of your history, turning the lead of your sorrows into the gold of my eternal purpose. I am mending the fractures in your lineage, sealing the cracks where the enemy used to find a foothold. You are being wrapped in a garment of praise that fits you perfectly, a royal robe that signifies your place in my house as a chosen child. The 100 years of wandering in the wilderness of that curse have ended today. You are crossing over into the land of promise, and the milk and honey are already being prepared for your table. Every word of lack that was spoken over your childhood, every limitation that was whispered into your ears by those who were themselves bound by fear, I am erasing with the ink of my covenant. You are free, truly, deeply, and eternally free. This freedom is not a fleeting emotion or a passing thought. It is a foundational shift in the reality of your existence. I am the architect of your new beginning, and I am laying the cornerstone with the substance of my unfailing love. Look forward now, for the horizon is glowing with the colors of my favor, and there is nothing, absolutely nothing, that can stop the momentum of the blessing I have set in motion for you. Even as you breathe, the old air of the curse is leaving your lungs, and you are inhaling the atmosphere of my kingdom. Can you feel the shift? Can you see the change in the mirror of your soul? You are the first of a new kind, the first of your name to walk in the fullness of my light, and the legacy you leave from this day forward will be a testament to my power to redeem all things. Walk with me now through the rooms of your soul, those spaces where the dust of decades had settled upon the furniture of your dreams. See how I am throwing open the heavy velvet curtains, letting the light of a new day bleach out the stains of sorrow. For 100 years, your people walked with their heads bowed, as if expecting the sky to fall, burdened by an invisible ceiling that told them this far and no further. I have shattered that glass. I have removed the low-hanging clouds of melancholy that seem to follow your surname like a shadow. Think of the dinner tables of your youth, where the air was often thick with the unspoken, where the ghost of poverty sat at the head of the table, whispering that there would never be enough. I am banishing that ghost. I am replacing the bread of sorrow with the manna of my presence. I am looking into the eyes of your ancestors, those who wanted to break free but felt the chains of their own fathers too tightly wound, and I am saying to them through you, it is finished. You are the one I have anointed to be the cycle breaker. I have given you a heart that refuses to settle for the crumbs of the past. When you felt that restlessness in your spirit, that deep-seated more that you couldn't name, that was my finger stirring the waters of your destiny. I was calling you out of the familiar cages of your lineage. I am healing the way you process time. You no longer have to live in the any-minute now of impending disaster. I am teaching your nervous system the rhythm of my grace. Feel the tension leaving your jaw, the tightness releasing from your shoulders. These are the physical anchors of the curse being pulled up. You are no longer moored to the docks of disappointment. We are sailing into the open sea of my favor. I am rewriting the stories you tell yourself in the dark. The story that says you are a fraud, the story that says you will eventually lose everything because your grandfather did, the story that says you are unworthy of lasting love. I am burning those scripts in the fire of my holiness. In their place, I am writing a new narrative of abundance and authority. I am looking at your hands, and I see the power to build, the power to heal, and the power to gather. You will possess what your parents could only dream of, and you will do it without the frantic striving that wore them down to the bone. This is a rest-based increase. I am the architect, and I am showing you the blueprints for a life that is wide and spacious. I am expanding your capacity to receive. You are conditioned to survive on the minimum, to make do, to shrink yourself so as not to offend the smallness of others. No more. I am calling you to occupy the full territory of your calling. I am placing a ring on your finger and shoes on your feet, signifying your status as an heir to the King of Kings. The name you carry is being sanitized of its bitterness. From this day forward, when people speak your name, they will associate it with integrity, with overflow, and with the undeniable touch of the divine. I am working even in the hidden corners of your DNA, clearing out the predispositions to the ailments that plagued your line, the heaviness of the mind, the ailments of the heart, the dependencies that offered a false escape. I am your escape. I am your fortress. I am the one who stands between you and the shadows of the past, and I am casting a light so bright that the shadows have nowhere to hide. Can you hear the sound of the chains hitting the floor? It is a melody to my ears. I am restoring your joy, not as a fleeting emotion, but as a resilient strength. You will laugh again with the laughter of a child who knows they are perfectly safe. I am taking the bitter herbs of your upbringing and using them as the seasoning for the feast I am preparing for you in the presence of your enemies. Those who watched you struggle will now watch you soar, and they will know that it is not by your might, nor by your power, but by my spirit. I am placing a new song in your mouth, a song of deliverance that will echo through the generations that come after you. Your children will walk through doors that were locked to you, and they will do so with a confidence that was forged in the fire of your current transformation. You are the pivot point. You are the hinge upon which the history of your family turns. I am pouring oil upon your head, anointing you for a level of influence you once thought was reserved for others. I am the God who remembers the forgotten, and I have remembered you. I have seen every tear you shed in the secret hours, and I have kept them in my bottle. Now I am turning those tears into the rain that will bring forth your harvest. The ground that was hard and cracked is becoming soft and fertile. Plant your seeds with boldness. Speak to the mountains with authority. You are no longer a victim of your history. You are the author of a new legacy. Stay here in this embrace. Let the warmth of my love penetrate the deepest, coldest parts of your heart. I am not finished with the beauty I am unfolding in you. There is more, so much more, that I want to show you about who you are in me. We are walking together, hand in hand, out of the wilderness and into the land of your inheritance. Do you see the fruit on the trees? Do you smell the blossoms of the new season? This is your reality now. This is your home. Look down at your hands, my child. See how the tremors of fear that once lived in your fingertips are being replaced by a stillness that can only come from my peace. For a century, your name was spoken with a sigh, a weight that pulled shoulders down and kept eyes fixed on the dust. It was a name associated with the almost, the not quite, and the not for us. I saw your great-grandfather pace the perimeter of fields he would never own, his heart a cage for dreams he thought were forbidden. I heard the quiet desperation of the women in your line, who poured their strength into vessels that always seemed to leak. But look at you now. You are standing where they could only dream of standing. You are breathing the air of a freedom they only glimpsed in the distance. I am rewriting the genetic code of your spirit. Where there was a predisposition to anxiety, I am weaving in strands of divine rest. Where there was a recurring cycle of lack, I am establishing a rhythm of abundance. This is not a temporary reprieve. It is a permanent restructuring. Notice how the very air in your home feels different tonight. The shadows that used to linger in the corners, those ancient, familiar shadows of never enough, are dissolving in the light of my presence. Think of the small, quiet moments that used to trigger that old, familiar dread. Perhaps it was the setting of the sun, or the arrival of a bill, or a look from a stranger that made you feel small. I am retuning your internal frequency. Now, when the sun sets, you will see it as a curtain closing on a day of victory, not a shroud of impending darkness. When the wind blows, you will not hear the whispers of the past telling you that you are a failure. You will hear the rustle of my wings over your household. I am teaching you how to occupy space without apologizing for it. For 100 years, Your people walked with their heads bowed, as if trying to take up as little room as possible in a world they felt did not belong to them. But I am the king, and you are my heir, and the earth is mine and everything in it. Therefore, stand tall. Let your stride be long and certain. I am placing a mantle upon you that is woven from the prayers of those in your lineage who died with the promise still in their hearts but not yet in their hands. They are cheering for you from the balconies of heaven, for in your breakthrough, their long-delayed harvest is finally being gathered. Your life is the yes to their "How long, O Lord?" We are going deeper now, into the places where you buried your own expectations to avoid disappointment. I am digging up those seeds. I am breathing life into the dreams you thought were dead and buried under the weight of your surname. You used to say, "That's just how we are," or things like that do not happen to people like us. I am deleting those phrases from your vocabulary. From now on, you will say, "My God is able," and the lines have fallen for me in pleasant places. Look at the tapestry I am weaving. From this vantage point, you can see how even the dark threads, the moments of intense sorrow, the years of feeling stuck, were necessary to create the contrast for the golden threads of my glory that are now becoming visible. I am not just breaking a curse, I am establishing a covenant. A curse is a cycle of destruction, but a covenant is a promise of eternal partnership. I am binding my name to yours. When people see you, they will see the evidence of my restorative power. They will ask, "How did the one from that family, from that background, rise so high?" And you will point to me. You are my living testimony. And even as I transform your outward circumstances, I am more interested in the interior architecture of your soul. I am building a cathedral where there was once a ruin. Every stone I lay is a stone of remembrance. Here is the stone of my faithfulness during your darkest night. Here is the stone of my provision when the cupboard was bare. Here is the stone of my healing when your heart was shattered into 1,000 pieces. I am polishing these stones until they reflect my light so brightly that they guide others out of their own darkness. Stay in this moment. Do not rush to the next task. The work I am doing in you is delicate and profound. I am aligning your heartbeat with mine. Can you feel it? The steady, rhythmic pulse of my love for you. It is the same rhythm that commanded the light to shine out of darkness. It is the same rhythm that sustains the stars in their courses. And it is the rhythm that is now governing your life. We are just beginning to explore the heights and depths of this new land. There are mountains of revelation you have yet to climb, and valleys of peace you have yet to rest in. I am showing you the map of your new life, and it is marked with fountains of joy and orchards of grace. Every step you take is a reclamation of ground that was stolen from your ancestors. With every breath, you are inhaling my strength and exhaling the last remnants of that ancient dust. The atmosphere of your life is shifting from one of holding on to one of moving forward. You are no longer defined by what you came from. You are defined by where we are going together. Do you feel the lightness in your chest? That is the weight of the 100-year yoke being completely dissolved. It is gone. It is finished. And yet, the beauty of what replaces it is only just starting to unfold. Let me show you more. Look now at the table where you sit, the wood grain under your fingers. For generations, this surname was a heavy cloak, woven with threads of scarcity and the salt of hidden tears. Your grandfather, Elias, sat at a table much like this one, but his bread was seasoned with the bitterness of a promise broken long before he was born. He didn't know why the shadows followed him into the fields, or why the laughter of his children felt like a melody he wasn't allowed to hum. But I knew. I saw the moment the door was nudged open a century ago, allowing that cold wind to whistle through your lineage. I saw every winter of the soul your family endured, the way the nights felt longer than the days, and the way the spring always seemed to skip over your porch. But today, as you breathe, that wind has ceased. I am closing those old, rusted doors and bolting them with the gold of my presence. Look at your children, or the children you will influence, the ones who carry your name or your spirit. They will not inherit the tremor in your hands. When they speak your surname, it will no longer taste like iron and ash. It will sound like a bell ringing in a clear, high tower. I am rewriting the ledger of your house. Where there was a debt of sorrow, I am stamping, paid in full with the ink of my own heart. Can you feel the shift in your very marrow? It is the sound of chains becoming jewelry. Those heavy links that bound your father to his anger and your mother to her silence, I have taken them into my furnace. I am melting them down to forge something new. See the jewelry I am making for you, a crown of beauty for ashes, a garment of praise for the spirit of heaviness. Walk with me into the kitchen of your daily life. Notice the light hitting the floorboards. It is different now, isn't it? The air is no longer thick with the what-ifs and the not-noths. When you open your mail, when you check your accounts, when you look in the mirror, you are seeing through eyes that have been washed in the pool of Siloam. You are seeing the provision that was always meant to be yours. I am teaching you how to spend the currency of peace. You have been a pauper of the spirit for so long, hoarding crumbs of joy because you feared they would be snatched away. But in this new land, the harvest is perpetual. You do not have to store up manna for a drought that will never come. The drought is over. The 100-year reign of grace has begun, and it is soaking deep into the soil of your identity, reaching the very roots where the rot used to live. I am healing the soil itself. I am changing the chemistry of your legacy. Think of the stories they told about your people, that they were unlucky, that they were hard-hearted, or that they always failed at the finish line. Those stories are being burned in the fire of my truth. I am giving you a new narrative. You are the one who stayed. You are the one who looked into the darkness and didn't turn away until you found my hand. And because you held on, the generational tide has turned. It is no longer pulling your family out to the deep, treacherous sea. It is bringing them home to a safe harbor. Listen to the silence in your home tonight. It is not the empty silence of loneliness or the heavy silence of secrets. It is the pregnant silence of a seed germinating in the dark. It is the silence of my peace, which surpasses all understanding. I am standing guard over your sleep. The nightmares that haunted your bloodline, the ones of falling, of losing everything, of being hunted, they have no permission to enter this sanctuary. I have set a hedge of fire around your mind. You are learning to dream again, not just with your eyes closed, but with them wide open. I am showing you the blueprints for the house you will build, not a house of wood and stone alone, but a life of influence and rest. I see the way you used to flinch when someone praised you, as if waiting for the other shoe to drop. That flinch is fading. You are beginning to stand tall, not in pride, but in the quiet confidence of a child who knows they are loved beyond measure. We are going to the high places now. I want to show you the vista of the next 50 years. I want you to see the fruit on the trees your grandchildren will climb. I want you to see the weddings where the wine is joy and the laughter is unforced. I want you to see the moments of quiet strength where a descendant of yours faces a challenge and realizes they have an inner reservoir of peace they didn't have to work for because you secured it for them. You are a pioneer, clearing the thickets of a century-old wilderness. The scratches on your soul from the briars are healing, leaving only the silver scars of victory. Do not be afraid of the vastness of this freedom. It is not a vacuum, it is an atmosphere. Inhale. Exhale. You are breathing the air of a kingdom that cannot be shaken. And I am right here, walking beside you, pointing out every flower of grace that is blooming where the curse used to grow. We are reclaiming the name. It is a name of honor now. It is a name of light. Let us walk further into the garden of your future. There is a fountain there I want you to taste from, the fountain of living remembrance, where you will see that I never forgot you, even in the lean years. I was always there, keeping the spark alive in the damp darkness of the family cellar, waiting for this specific moment, for this specific heart, your heart to say no more. You are the breakthrough. You are the answer to a prayer your great-grandmother whispered into her apron while she worked. She didn't see the answer, but she felt the promise, and now you are the living proof that my word never returns void. Do you feel the warmth on your back? That is the sun of righteousness rising over your heritage with healing in its wings. The shadows are retreating so far they are becoming nothing more than memories of a dream you once had. Come closer. There is a secret I want to whisper to your spirit, something I have been saving for this very hour. It is the true meaning of your name, the one I gave it before the world began, before the curse ever tried to steal its beauty. Lean in, for the sound of my voice is the music of your restoration. The secret I whisper to you is a name within a name, a hidden vibration that I wove into the very fabric of your lineage before the foundations of the earth were laid. While the world called your family the broken ones, the overlooked, or the ones who never quite arrived, I have always called you the keepers of the morning watch. The 100-year silence was not an absence of my presence, but a long, agonizing gestation. Every sigh your grandfather released into the cold air of the coal mines, every tear your mother wiped away with a threadbare sleeve so you wouldn't see her despair, those were seeds. You thought they were losses, but in my economy, nothing is ever lost. They were being gathered into this very moment. I am the architect of time, and I have been waiting for the one who would be brave enough to stand in the center of the ruins and ask for the blueprint of the original design. You are that one. You have wondered why your heart always felt like a house with too many locked doors, why you felt a phantom grief for things you had never personally lost. That was the weight of the century, the residual static of 1,000 no's that preceded your yes. But look at your hands now. Do you see the gold light settling into the creases of your palms? That is the oil of anointing for a new era. We are not just cleaning the house of your history, we are redesigning it. Every room where bitterness once sat as a permanent guest is being cleared. I am throwing open the heavy velvet curtains of generational shame and letting the sunlight of my truth bleach out the stains of the past. Think back to the kitchen table of your childhood, the one where the air always felt thick with the things people didn't say. Remember the tension that sat like an uninvited ghost at every meal. I was there even then under the table, holding your small feet steady when the ground felt like it was shifting. I was whispering to your spirit that one day you would sit at a different table, a table of abundance where the bread would never run out and the wine would be the vintage of pure joy. That day has arrived. Taste the water from this fountain now. It is cold, sharp, and tastes of ancient snow and new blossoms. As it hits your tongue, feel it traveling down into the deep marrow of your bones, washing away the ancestral fatigue that has made your movements so heavy. This is the water of behold, I make all things new. It is rewriting your very DNA, stripping away the coding of defeat and replacing it with the sequence of my favor. You have been a survivor for so long that you have forgotten how to be a son, how to be a daughter. You have lived with your shoulders hunched, waiting for the next blow, for the other shoe of the curse to drop. But I am straightening your spine. I am lifting your chin. I want you to look me in the eyes and see that there is no anger here, no disappointment, only an oceanic, fathomless pride. I am proud of the way you kept your heart soft, even when the world tried to turn it into a stone. I am proud of the way you reached for me in the dark, even when the voices of your ancestors told you that I had forgotten your name. I never forgot. I was the one who kept your lamp burning when the oil was low. I was the one who sent the strangers with the kind words when you were at your breaking point. Now, we are walking past the graveyard of the if-onlys and the what-might-have-beens. See how the headstones are crumbling into dust. They have no power here. We are entering the orchard of your fruitfulness. Look at the trees. They are heavy with harvests you did not plant but are now called to reap. There is the fruit of peace, the fruit of creative fire, the fruit of financial wholeness that will flow through your hands to bless the very ground that once tried to starve you. The curse was a fence, but I have turned it into a bridge. Every obstacle that stood in the way of your fathers and mothers is now a stepping stone for you. You are walking on the heights now, and the air is thin and sweet. You can see for miles, back into the past with compassion, and forward into the future with a holy curiosity. There is a specific room in the mansion of your destiny that we are approaching. It is the room of your true calling, the one the curse tried to bury under layers of practicality and survival. I am handing you the key. It is a silver key, worn smooth by my touch. As you turn it, I want you to hear the sound of 100 years of locks clicking open simultaneously. Your children will never know the weight you carried. To them, this freedom will be as natural as breathing. They will grow up in the garden you are reclaiming today. But for you, the joy is different, isn't it? The joy is deeper because you remember the desert. You remember the taste of the dust. And because you remember the drought, you will be the most faithful steward of the rain. Lean your head against my shoulder. We have much further to go, and I want to tell you about the dreams I have for you, the ones I dreamt while I was watching over you in the womb of your lineage, the ones that are finally ready to be born through you. The silver key turns with a softness that defies its age, a sound like a whisper of silk rather than the grinding of metal. As the door swings open, the air that greets you is not the stagnant breath of a tomb, but the fragrance of a morning you thought you had missed, a blend of cedarwood, crushed lavender, and the sharp, clean scent of rain on warm stone. This is the room of your true calling, the sanctuary of the self that was never allowed to breathe. For generations, your people walked with their shoulders hunched, a phantom weight pressing down on their collarbones, a silent command to stay small, to stay hidden, to stay safe in the shadows of survival. But look at this space. The walls are lined with the blueprints of the dreams that were confiscated from your bloodline. See that desk of dark, polished oak? That was meant for your grandfather, the one who had the hands of an architect but spent his life breaking stones for another man's foundation. See the canvases stacked in the corner, glowing with a light of their own. They belong to the aunt whose name is rarely mentioned, the one who saw colors in the wind, but was told that such visions were a sickness of the soul. I have kept them all here, preserved in the amber of my grace, waiting for the one who would be brave enough to claim the key. You are not just entering a room, you are reclaiming an inheritance that was stolen by a lie. The curse told your father that he would never have enough, so he clutched his pennies until his palms bled, never knowing that he was the son of a king. The curse told your mother that her voice was a nuisance, so she buried her songs in the garden soil and watered them with her tears. But today, as you step over this threshold, the ground beneath your feet is vibrating with the resonance of 1,000 yeses. Can you feel it? The tightness in your chest, that knot of anxiety you thought was just a part of your personality, is dissolving like salt in the sea. That was never you. That was the frequency of the fence. Now, I want you to walk over to the window. It stretches from the floor to the ceiling, overlooking a valley that is beginning to turn green. Look at your hands. They are steady now. For years, you felt a phantom tremor whenever you reached for something great, a hesitation born of the fear that if you climbed too high, the fall would destroy not just you, but everyone you loved. That was the curse's favorite trick, to make you believe that your success was a danger to your tribe. But I am telling you that your ascent is their liberation. As you stand tall, the spirits of those who came before you are finally able to rest. They are leaning against the walls of this room, their transparent faces glowing with a pride that transcends time. They are not jealous of your freedom, they are fueled by it. Every breath of clean air you take is a breath they finally get to release. I am showing you a map now, spread out on the central table. It is a map of your next 10 years. Notice that there are no borders marked in red, no no-go zones where your ancestors were turned away. The geography of your life has been rewritten. Where there was a desert of not enough, there is now a river of more than sufficient. You see that city on the horizon. That represents the influence I am giving you. Not the kind of influence that seeks to dominate, but the kind that heals. You will speak into the lives of others who are still trapped behind their own fences, and your voice will carry the authority of one who has actually walked through the fire and come out smelling like roses. I am touching your ears now, clearing away the echoes of the criticisms that were passed down like heirlooms. Who do you think you are? Don't get ahead of yourself. People like us don't end up there. Those voices are becoming like the buzzing of distant flies, insignificant and fading. In their place, I am playing the melody of your true name. It is a name that predates your surname, a name I whispered into the void before the foundations of the world were laid. As you hear it, your DNA is realigning. The cells of your body are remembering their original design. You were never meant to be a creature of lack. You were designed to be a conduit of abundance. Notice the clothes hanging on the rack by the door. They are not the rags of a beggar or the stiff, uncomfortable suits of a man trying to prove his worth. They are garments of light, woven with the threads of your unique purpose. Put them on. Feel the fabric against your skin. It is the texture of peace. We are going to stay in this room for a while because you need to get used to the light. You have lived in the dimness of the curse for so long that your eyes need to adjust to the brilliance of my favor. There is no rush. We have all of eternity to unpack the treasures I have stored up for you. Look at the jars on the shelves. They contain the prayers of your great-grandmother, the ones she prayed while kneeling on dirt floors, asking me to save the ones she would never live to see. You are the answer to those prayers. You are the physical manifestation of her faith. Every time you smile without a trace of hidden sorrow, she is laughing in the heavens. Every time you sign a contract that brings prosperity to your house, her soul magnifies the Lord. The healing is going back and forward simultaneously. It is a ripple in the fabric of time. I am placing my hand over your heart now. Can you feel the warmth? It is the fire of my spirit, burning away the last remnants of the old identity. There is a suitcase in the corner, old and battered, filled with the regrets and the what-ifs of a century. We are not taking that with us. We are leaving it here, in the shadows behind the door, as a monument to what was, but will never be again. You are walking out of this moment as a new creation, carrying a name that no longer tastes like bitterness, but like honey. There is a garden just outside this room, and I want to show you the trees that are already bearing fruit because you dared to believe me. The air is getting even sweeter now. Can you smell it? It is the scent of a promise kept. Step with me across the threshold. The iron gate that once stood barred against your family has been melted down into the very tools you will use to build your new kingdom. Look at the trees, my child. Notice how their leaves do not wilt even in the heat of the day. They draw from a hidden spring that your ancestors could never find, though they searched for it in bottles and in the hollow praise of men. For 100 years, your name was a heavy stone carried in the pocket, pulling every generation toward the dust. But look at your hands now. They are light. The phantom weight of your grandfather's unpaid debts and your mother's unwept tears has evaporated like morning dew. See that trellis of vines? Those are the dreams your lineage discarded because they felt unworthy of the harvest. I have kept them for you. I have tended them in the secret places of my heart, until the time was right for a steward who could handle the abundance without being crushed by the pride of it. Do you remember the quiet desperation that used to settle over your kitchen table at dusk? That feeling that, no matter how hard you worked, there would never be quite enough to cover the edges of your life. That was the shadow of the curse, a cold wind blowing through the cracks of a foundation you didn't even build. I am sealing those cracks with gold. I am pouring the concrete of my faithfulness beneath your feet so that your children will never know the vertigo of insecurity. We are walking toward a fountain in the center of this garden. Its water is clear as crystal, and it sings a song that mentions your name, not the name the world gave you, not the name associated with the scandals and the failures of the past, but the name I whispered into the void before the foundations of the earth were laid. As we walk, I want you to feel the tension leaving your shoulders. For years, you have been braced for a blow that was never coming from me, but from the echoes of the past. You can relax now. The battle is over, and you didn't even have to draw a sword. You only had to say yes to my love. Look closely at the flowers lining the path. They are colors you haven't seen before because they only bloom in the atmosphere of total freedom. One represents the laughter that was stolen from your house 3 generations ago. Another represents the creative fire that was extinguished by the need for survival. I am giving them all back to you, one petal at a time. I see the way you look back toward the door, almost afraid that this is a dream from which you will wake to find the old shadows returned. Let me reassure you, the door has vanished. There is no back to go to. Your history has been swallowed up in my eternity. I am even now visiting the members of your family who are still walking the earth, though they do not know it yet. A sudden peace will find your brother in the middle of a busy street. A sense of hope will wash over your cousin as she looks in the mirror. Because you broke the silence, because you dared to stand in the light and claim your inheritance, the light is traveling through the blood vessels of your entire family tree. It is like a divine sap rising in a dormant trunk, forcing new buds to break through the bark. You are the pioneer of this peace. You are the architect of a new legacy. Let's sit here by the water for a while. There is a book I want to open with you. It's not the book of your sins, those are forgotten, but the book of possibilities. In its pages, we will write the story of the next 100 years. We will decide together what the name of your house will stand for. Will it be a house of hospitality, a house of wisdom, a house where the weary find rest? You get to choose now. For the first time in a century, the pen is in your hand, and my hand is over yours, guiding the strokes. Do you feel the rhythm of my heart beating against your own? It is the same rhythm that moves the tides and holds the stars in their places. And that same power is now at work in your bank account, in your physical body, and in the very way you perceive the world. You will no longer look for the catch in every blessing. You will no longer wait for the other shoe to drop. There is no other shoe. There is only the continuous, rhythmic falling of my grace, layer upon layer, until the landscape of your life is unrecognizable. Can you hear the birds in the branches? They are singing the lullabies your mother was too tired to sing. They are chanting the psalms your father forgot. Everything is being restored. Nothing is lost in my kingdom. It is only transformed. And you, my beloved, are the greatest transformation of all. You are the living proof that a single heart, aligned with mine, can undo a century of darkness. We are just beginning. There are corridors of light we haven't even stepped into yet, and rooms of discovery that will take decades to explore. But for now, just breathe. Breathe in the scent of the jasmine and the ancient cedar. This is your home. This is where you belonged all along. Let the weight of that word, belonged, settle into the marrow of your bones. For too long, you have lived as a nomad in your own skin, looking over your shoulder for the debt collector of your ancestors' mistakes. But look at your hands now. See how they have stopped shaking. That tremor was never yours to begin with. It was the resonance of 100 years of frantic striving, the vibration of a family line trying to outrun its shadow. I have silenced that frequency. I have placed my peace over the static until the only thing left is the clear, resonant tone of my love for you. Walk with me through the threshold of this renewed house. Do you see the dust motes dancing in the shafts of light? They are no longer the remnants of neglect, but the sparkling evidence of a space being filled with breath. We are going to walk through every room of your history, not to mourn what was lost, but to repurpose the materials. That heavy oak table in the dining room, the one where silences were once as thick as the stew, and where words were used like weapons, I am sanding it down. I am stripping away the layers of bitter varnish and the stains of unspoken resentment. We will polish it until it reflects your face, and the faces of those you will soon invite to sit and feast. There will be laughter here that echoes so loudly it will rattle the foundations of the old cemetery where the bitterness was buried. It will be a holy noise. Consider the archives of your mind, those dark corners where you stored the inherited truths about what you could and could not achieve. You were told that people with your name do not find lasting wealth, that your blood is predisposed to a certain kind of sadness, a specific brand of failure. I am currently rewriting those ledgers. I am dipping my finger into the ink of the morning and striking through every line of lack. Look at the balance of your soul. It is no longer in the red. You are solvent in the kingdom of grace, and that solvency is even now manifesting in the physical world. Notice the way the air feels against your skin, sharper, clearer, as if the veil of ancestral fog has finally lifted. When you look at your bank account, I want you to see more than numbers. I want you to see seeds. The scarcity that haunted your grandfather, causing him to clench his fists until his knuckles turned white, has no authority over you. You can open your hands. You can let the resources flow through you like a river, knowing the source is not your own effort, but my inexhaustible supply. You are becoming a conduit of abundance, a living witness that the drought is over. The rain has started, and it is not a storm of judgment, but a gentle, persistent soaking of your parched inheritance. Do you feel the shift in your very cells? There was a genetic signature of grief that had been passed down like a rusted heirloom, from mother to daughter, father to son. It was a predisposition to expect the worst, a biological blueprint for survival rather than flourishing. I am editing that code. I am weaving strands of joy into your DNA. I am teaching your nervous system that it is safe to be happy, that the other shoe you have been waiting for has been replaced by the golden sandals of a child of the King. You will find yourself smiling for no reason in the middle of a mundane Tuesday. You will find yourself humming melodies that your great-grandmother hummed in her dreams, but was too afraid to sing aloud. I am recovering the music of your lineage. Every song that was silenced by poverty, every poem that was burned by shame, every prayer that was choked out by despair, I have kept them all in jars of crystal. Now, I am pouring them out over your head as an anointing oil. You are the one who gets to wear the crown that your ancestors were too bowed down to see. Let's walk out into the garden. This land was once choked with briars and the thorns of old grudges. You remember how hard it was to grow anything here, how the soil seemed to reject the seeds of your ambition. That wasn't because you were a poor gardener. It was because the ground was thirsty for a different kind of water. It needed the water of forgiveness. As you have stepped into this alignment with me, as you have allowed me to take the lead, that water has begun to bubble up from hidden springs. The soil is turning dark and rich. The roots of the family tree are being nourished for the first time in a century. Look at the branches. They are no longer brittle and gray. There are buds forming, secrets of color and fragrance that have been dormant since the late 1800s. You are the first blossom of a new season. Your children and your children's children will walk through this orchard, and think that the stories of the curse were nothing more than myths, for all they will know is the sweetness of the fruit. They will sit under the shade of trees that you are planting with your faith today. Every time you choose to trust me instead of falling back into the old patterns of fear, you are digging a well that will sustain generations. Don't be afraid of the vastness of this transformation. I know it feels dizzying to leave the prison you have known for so long. The light is bright and the space is wide, and for a moment, the freedom feels like a weight of its own. But stay close to my side. Lean into the warmth of my presence. We are not just fixing a few broken windows in your life. We are redesigning the entire architecture of your existence. We are moving from the shack of barely enough to the mansion of more than enough. And this isn't just about your comfort, though I delight in your peace. It is about the testimony of what happens when a human heart finally says yes to the divine invitation to be whole. You are the bridge between the broken past and the radiant future. Every step you take on these new floorboards is a victory march for those who came before you. They are watching from the balconies of heaven, cheering as they see their name, your name, finally being spoken with honor, with warmth, and with light. There is so much more I want to show you, so many hidden treasures in the basements of your potential that we haven't even unlocked yet. Can you feel the excitement in my voice? I have been waiting 100 years for this moment. I have been waiting for you.